to find out why we chose the Toyota Sienna over all other minivans. Stay tuned.
Our first trip cross country back in the spring. I think we left in April, came back in May, took off in the Mazda, and was just sort of experimenting. Slept in the Mazda. I remember we were in a rest stop on the Pacific Coast Highway in California, and we saw a Transit, Ford Transit, and we were having lunch. I think did we have pre-made sandwiches? But they anyways busted out the kitchen. They had the cook stove going on the picnic tables, and we thought, wow, that is really cool. That is definitely a lot more comfortable than what we were doing. I mean, we felt very privileged to be doing what we were doing, but when you see somebody doing it in the van, you realize that you could be even more comfortable. So we came back, still wasn't sure how much money we wanted to put into a situation like that. So I started shopping for cheap minivans, started doing a lot of research. We actually drove like an hour one day. I had a couple of Transits that I found online, an hour south from here. So we drove down and checked those out. The thing with those that we didn't realize at the time until we went and drove one, I learned to carry a tape measure with me. And we would put a tape measure in the back. I'm about 6'1", so I knew how big it needed to be for me to lay in there comfortably. The Mazda wasn't quite long enough. I had to pull the front seat way up, and anyways, so we needed something that had at least 74-ish, 75-ish inches back there, so we could both lay down comfortably. The Transit measured like 72 inches. So we were measuring back there. The Transit that we were looking at, now these were the little Transit Connects. You see them around town. They use them for work vans a lot. Not the big full-size 350 ones, which would have been perfect. But the Transit had like 72 inches back there, which is 6 feet on the nose, and there's no way that we were going to be able to sit back there comfortably or lay back there. I wasn't going to be able to. So after driving that, we moved on. We actually I found a Dodge Caravan online, and we went to drive that. And the major reason that I wanted to drive the Caravan, now I just wanted to go so I could put a tape measure in the back of these vehicles. Now the Caravan had the appeal of the stowaway seats, which I had heard about. And that was another thing that was important to us, was to not have it just be a camper van. If this sucks, if we don't have a good time doing this, if we're not enjoying ourselves, I wanted something that I could put the seats right back in and sell it the way I bought it as a minivan. So the stow and go seats in the Dodge Caravan definitely fit the bill on that, definitely appealed. And so we went and drove a Caravan, put the tape measure in there. It was like over 80 inches, so this is perfect. But I kept doing more research, The Caravan had their own issues mechanically that shied me a little bit away from that. Now, we had rented one last winter, actually the Pacifica in Tampa, and loved it. It was very comfortable, but the mechanical issues from the Plymouth Dodges scared me away a little bit. So we kept looking, I kept doing research, and the research that I had said that the best in class for the minivans were generally, year to year, were generally going to be Honda Odysseys and Toyota Siennas. And so while we did drive that Dodge Caravan, it was comfortable and everything, we went back to the drawing board and figured, no, let's see if we can try out some of these Odysseys and Siennas. And the Toyota always was about $500 more year to year, all the same features, and I was trying to figure out, why does a Toyota hold more value than the Honda Odyssey? Is it relative to the new price? Why exactly is that? And so we drove an Odyssey, very nice car, had plenty of room in the back. If I remember, the seats were going to be a little bit more challenged, getting the seats out of there to get a bed back there. And then we started looking at the Toyotas, and I found this one that we're in right now on Facebook Marketplace. It was in New Hampshire, about 100 miles from here in southern New Hampshire. We drove to a dealership that day in I think in like Rochester, New Hampshire, which isn't too far from here, maybe 40-50 miles. And we drove the top of the line. It was like a 2013 or something. And it was a little bit more money than I wanted to spend. I was hoping to keep things in the $5,000 to $7,000 range, just because we weren't sure if we were going to like this or not. So we drove that one, and it was nice. It had the moonroof, it had the leather, it had the wood panel dashboards. It was the top of the line Toyota Sienna, and it was beautiful. They wouldn't budge on the price, and I thought they were a little bit high coming in. And I thought, oh, maybe they priced it high so they could leave some wiggle room so they could negotiate, and everybody walks away feeling good. They wouldn't budge at all. So I had this one on my radar. Figured, well, we'll drive down and take a look at this other one that I know of. This one's $5,000. It looks a little banged up. Had it listed as some sort of special. They took it as a trade-in, didn't want to do any work to it. Let's just trade it and get what we can out of it right now. So they were asking $5,000 for this thing with 99,000 miles on it. Never been in an accident, but it's definitely taken a couple shopping cart dings in the parking lot. You know, scrapes here and there. So we went and drove it. It's got cloth interior, no moonroof. But the drive system, everything else is the same. And because of the price and the few cosmetics inside, the thing is very nice. The thing looks brand new inside, except for the broken windshield that I broke again on our last road trip. 2 windshields in one road trip. So anyway, we ended up buying this. The number one reason that I could find that the Toyota Sienna was holding the value over the Odyssey, and the Toyota Sienna was considered the best in class, a little slightly higher than the Odyssey, depending on what year you're looking on, was the Odyssey has a timing belt that needs to be changed every 60 to 100,000 miles. At first I thought every like 100,000, you know, at 100,000 miles you got to change the timing belt. So then I started asking, I'm looking at these Odysseys and I'm asking, oh, have you changed the timing belt yet? You know, thinking that once if I found one that had a recently changed timing belt, it's good, it will never have to be done again. Then the more I started reading and researching, the timing belt needs to be changed every 60 to 100,000 miles. So I'm thinking, I don't want to get out in the middle of someplace, boondock, BLM camping someplace and run into an issue. And that doesn't mean that you won't, no matter what vehicle you're driving. But the Toyota Sienna has a timing chain, which just sounds sturdier to me. And that was the number one difference that I could find as to why these Siennas were priced, even used 10 years old, they're always priced slightly more than the Odysseys, and that was the number one thing I could find. So this does have the third row stow and go seats. I do have to take the second row out when we put the bed in, but mechanically this thing is nice. I had bought some hubcaps for it. It's still got the dings and everything on the outside, but the number one reason that we bought this, well, two reasons. Number one, it had the room and had one whole row of stow and go seats, but then the timing chain instead of the timing belt that the other models had. So there you have it. That's why we bought the Toyota Sienna. If you like videos like this, if this is fun for you, you should really hit the subscribe button. There is the seatbelt bell when you don't have your seatbelt fastened for a Toyota Sienna.